when you look at this, and Diane, when we're getting people all the time, oh, I eat 100% organic, I eat super healthy, I'm doing this and this, and I'm saying, look, you're on Earth in 2022.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. You're getting aluminum oxides from the air. You're getting all sorts of toxins and chemicals. Nobody's pure. We're getting damaged no matter what. Super excited to invite Hope and Tivon. Now, husband and wife team of engineering, research, and business professionals. You guys run an engineering academy for clean energy and technology. Authors of Forbidden Tech, and you make handmade products for EMF protection. And by the way, they sent me a whole box of these, and they are very cool. I'm talking really super quality, and reading about them I love the information packet that you sent. And we're also with Diane Kazer, who's, health advocate, brilliant, author of Killer Breast. God bless you. Welcome all. Okay, can Hope and Tivon, can you tell us about your background and how you created Fix the World Morocco?
Well, thank you so much for having us on, and we're really pleased to be here for your audience.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'll let Tivon talk about how we came across creating this little business that we have making handmade EMF protection products.
Okay, so it first started with us. I was electrosensitive. I guess to some degree I still am, but there's a period of time when I couldn't sleep for days at a time, almost weeks at a time, and I didn't understand what it was. I thought I was healthy. I was working out regularly, jogging, and still I had all kinds of symptoms that when we ended up going back to was related to some kind of sensitivity to EMF through process of elimination, that and a diet, certain dietary things that had to change. But at the end of the day, it was Hope's mother that she gave me something that I thought I was skeptical about. I needed something to resolve the insomnia issue. And so this was a composite material that had aluminum foil, aluminum shavings inside the composite. And she said, I have a friend of mine who's also similar technical mind as you, and I'd like for you to try this. And at the time, I hadn't slept. I had a solid sleep in about 2 weeks. So when I put this composite in the bed with me, I slept deeply, and it was the first time I was able to sleep in 2 weeks. And that just got me going on this whole direction as far as understanding what is this called, what is this component called. I think online it's called orgonite. That at the time I didn't really know what that was, so I started to research that whole thing. Who was the primary? Where did the primary research come from? From the late Dr. Wilhelm Reich, how he created these accumulators as a means of measuring a phenomenon, dealing with living beings and that kind of thing, where he's able to observe the level of energy that was being brought into these accumulators by building them out of layers of metal and non-metal organic layers. And that when he did that, he observed peculiar things happen within these chambers, like seedlings and plants grew healthier and stronger. He did something called a Reich blood test that preserved blood longer. And also people who went into these chambers, the live human-sized ones, after sitting in there for 45 minutes or so, they came out feeling rejuvenated. Some even claimed to have gone into remission with their illnesses. So I was reading all of this, and I was also reading how it basically transformed from layers of sheets into composite material. And I had spent the next year or so working on a prototype for me so I can sleep. But it started with a pendant, and this pendant didn't look like what we have now. It was.
You should see the first ones.
It was like a giant black hockey puck. You wouldn't want to be seen wearing this.
We made fun of it at first, but it works.
Yeah,
still does.
So it got me to become calm, relax. I was able to take naps on the couch. And after I tried it on myself, I made another version for my wife, and I just asked her to try it on. I didn't say anything. I just said, just put it on. And what happened when you put it on?
I immediately felt very calm. I also suffered from extreme sensitivity to EMFs from the electricity in the air, from the Wi-Fi and the cell towers. And I was always anxious and I was always nervous, and I had horrible insomnia for years and years. I suffered from insomnia. So I put this pendant on and I immediately felt this calming sensation come over me. And I was like, what is that? That's like, something's really different here. So from there, I had asked him to make me something bigger,
Something stronger,
which turned into a sleeping pod. And ever since I've been using the sleeping pods, I have been sleeping like a baby every night for, what's it, like 6 or 7 years we're going on now?
Yeah, we're gonna have
that
to
we've been
take
doing this?
any medication, sleeping medication
Yeah.
after that. Now, just to give you an idea of the environment that we're living in at the time, I mean, we were living in the north, and we're in the middle of the city,
North Morocco,
and we were surrounded by like 4G LTE towers within like a block, and we're on the fourth floor.
Oh, wow.
Like flat on the fourth floor. So we had like windows on the corner, and we're surrounded by cell towers.
Getting zapped by cell towers.
And we had, traditional bed springs and that kind of thing. So it was like almost impossible to get any rest in that environment.
But because these products worked, we said, well, we're using them for ourselves. Then we started sending them to our friends and family because they were asking for them. And then they were like, send me more. So at that point, we had so much demand, and we're just making them ourselves, staying up till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, polishing the pieces by hand, and sending them out to friends all around the world. And we decided to create a business out of it. So we got all the business structure and the website and everything else. And so that's how we started, but we've come a long way. We just built our own factory on our property here. And
Cool.
This year we are celebrating 10,000 customers.
Yeah,
Wow.
Huge
Oh my God. Congratulations. I mean, a lot of people don't understand that electromagnetic fields, okay, they're around everything. They're around a refrigerator, the crazy, insane electric watches that are monitoring are at the same frequency to damage brains. Now, can you describe the dangers of the EMF and I mean, literally, how can we protect ourselves? How can this protect you from a field that's coming from here?
Well, we're going to go into the science behind the stuff so you can understand how they work and what they're made of. But we did prepare a few slides here. So I'm going to share my screen because I wanted to just do a little bit of a synopsis of why EMF protection is really a big deal. So here's a slide, dangers of EMF radiation. There are a lot of studies out there, compelling evidence for 8 distinct types of great harm caused by electromagnetic field or EMF exposures and the mechanism that causes them. I want to recommend this free book that you can get. It's a 127-page ebook. It's a powerful summary of the science that telecoms don't want us to know, because it scientifically demonstrates beyond any reasonable doubt the biologically harmful effects of deployment and wireless radiation in general. And this includes citations to 139 scientific research papers. So that's called risk. You can go ahead and check that out at summit.com. And here's just a little bit of a detail as to like what the EMF radiation does to our cells.
So yeah, Martin Paul, the professor emeritus of biochemistry and basic medical science at Washington State University. And this is what he had to say about it. And he's an expert in this field, and he's been researching this area for much longer than the papers that have been put out recently about EMFs act by activating channels in the cell membrane that surround each of our cells, called voltage-gated calcium channels. The EMFs put forces on the voltage sensors that control these VGCCs of about 7.2 million times greater than the forces on other charge groups in our cells. This is why weak EMFs have such large biological effects on the cells of our bodies. EMFs work this way not only on human and diverse animal cells, but also in plant cells. So this means your green fruits and vegetables in your refrigerator. So that this is a universal or near universal mechanism of action.
And finally, what can you do to protect yourself against EMFs? And we always recommend a holistic approach. It's not just one thing. You have to do things in a lifestyle change. So some of those things are to detox your body from heavy metals, because the heavy metals that are inside of our body basically turn us into like walking antennas that gets beamed by that EMF. So you want to get those heavy metals out of your body. You also want to change your diet to boost your immune system, because EMF or radiation poisoning from the EMFs, it has the same sort of effects on our systems, like flu-like symptoms is basically what EMFs can cause for radiation sickness. You also, if it's possible, move to a more natural area or get out of the city. I mean, it's tough. If you live right underneath a cell tower, it's going to be really hard to exist in any kind of peace. So you want to make sure that if you can move out of the cities and get into the country, to go ahead and try to do that. And also, of course, turn off your Wi-Fi at night. A lot of people don't do this. It's difficult to do if you're like in an apartment building and you have neighbors that have their Wi-Fi on, because it does travel through the walls. But if you can turn off all of your Wi-Fi at night, that will definitely help you. And of course, what we always recommend is to equip your home with EMF protection products.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. I'm a research like crazy. This is like what I do 90% of my free time. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I got to get a hold of the PowerPoint so I can really delve into this. Now, when you're talking about the studies, they're brilliant. Okay, but how can, because I've got a couple of EMF protection devices. Yeah. One of the things that I'm finding out is that people who have low minerals in their system are more susceptible to, I mean, everyone's going to get damaged from the electromagnetic fields. It alters how your cells transfer nutrients and produce healthy proteins. But if you're mineral deficient, and that's a chronic stress state, produces less stomach acid, so you're not getting the absorption. Now, how do your products, okay, stop a field coming in, or lessen the negative effects of that field? How does that work? What's the science behind it?
Okay, so it's a little bit different than just blocking EMF. So we've put together a few slides for that as well to try to explain how these products work a little bit differently. Okay, so first, we want to tell you about the science behind our products of orgone, so you can understand orgone energy, and then we'll get into specifically how they work.
Okay, so I'm going to summarize the slide, then I'll go into the slide. But basically, doctor, what's happening is you have straight EMFs in the environment, like you said earlier, and these materials are able to transform the fields as they travel around and through these devices. So these fields aren't as affected on the body because the nature of them has changed. Okay, so again, the science behind it was discovered in the 1930s by the late Dr. Wilhelm Reich, who discovered that living samples placed within containers made from alternating layers of steel and non-conductive organic material were able to harness healthy cosmic energy from the environment. And he called this orgone energy. Also, I want to say that the University of Pennsylvania replicated these accumulators experiments a few years ago. We did that in another video talking about that study. These orgone accumulators had the ability to preserve blood samples for longer periods of time versus a control, sprout healthier plant seedlings, and provide pain relief for his patients who sat inside them. It's the accumulator boxes. Now, instead of a box, composites made from a blend of what we use, which is iron oxide, steel powder, brass, shungite, and crystal powders, all encased in epoxy resin, produce the same effect and are able to transform the harmful wireless fields from the cell tower, smart meters, smartphones, internet router, and your television into more beneficial energy for you, your plants, and your pets.
Now, something really important about what's inside of our products is about shungite. So if anybody doesn't know about shungite, it is a rare mineral. It's believed to come from an asteroid that can be found in one place in the world only, and that's in Karelia, Russia. It is the only mineral of its kind that contains fullerenes, which have been proven effective in protection from EMFs and also used for cleaning nuclear waste, such as used in Fukushima.
So what you see is a graphic here. Now, there's a lot of science in Russia dealing with this, but I was able to glean a video from a Russian scientist that described the carbon within shungite is in a form of fullerenes, and it's not just a single fullerene. They're nested fullerenes, which makes it very unusual in a mineral, a natural mineral that's found in only one place. Well, these nested fullerenes not only absorb radioactive toxins and literally remove the radiation from the element that it absorbs, but it can take electromagnetic fields and change what is called the spin of these fields. And it's that spin is what basically makes these fields, the resultant field, more compatible if you're around these devices and if you're around shungite stones.
Now, these are how our products work. So these are the ingredients that we use. We mix them by hand. So we take shungite, iron oxide, steel, brass, and quartz crystal, all of them in powder form because it has a bigger surface area if it's in powder form. And we mix those into an epoxy resin. When the epoxy cures, which takes a couple of days, it cures into a solid plastic state, which puts its pressure on the surface area of those ingredients. This causes something known as the piezoelectric effect, which emits a harmonizing field generated by the specific properties of the ingredients. It's this field that transforms the harmful energy from EMFs into healthy, life-preserving energy. And you can place our products all around yourself and your environment for the best effect. And just show a quick picture here of us making our products by hand, where we mix all of the powders first, and then we mix the epoxy resin. We pour it into a mold that we make ourselves, and then after it's cured, then we have our sleeping pods and pendants and things along those lines. And just one more thing to show you, he was mentioning the science behind our products. And these are some of the videos that we've made talking about this amazing blood test that shows that this orgone energy preserves blood for longer periods of time. So it's like a fountain of youth for the blood. Also, there's seed germination that happens. There's better seed germination when you have orgone energy around it. This is gardening with this orgone energy. This is with orgonite, and without orgonite, we use it in our garden as well, and our garden is exploding. And you can actually see the field that's generated in an ice test. When you freeze the ice on top of, like, say, one of our charge plates, you can see the vortex field frozen in the ice. And some people use different dyes in order to see that field a little more clearly.
Oh my God, that's totally cool. I mean, because I've heard that, you know, it can't stop it. It just breaks the edge off so it has less harm in the body. I'd love your explanation. And I've been taking pictures of your slides, so I'm going to be researching this like crazy because this is the key. Now, all the myriad of effects that EMF fields have on you, how is there any contraindication like to using your products? I know that's a dumb one. I got to ask the question anyway.
Contraindication, like, you know, like bad effects?
Yeah, I know.
Well, I'm going to be completely honest. What we have heard, we heard some feedback from some of our customers. Most people are really happy with them, but some customers, they say that they feel like a little dizzy or a little strange for when they first start using them. But then they persevere, and then after a while, they feel much better, like better than before. And what we believe that is that if you are living in an environment where you're just being bombarded by the EMF constantly,
you're used to it,
and suddenly it stops, it's kind of like you go through a detox or a withdrawal that you don't feel too good for a while. And then once you get that bad energy detoxed out of your field, I guess, then you start to feel much better. But and we have heard a few people say that.
I have given you products. The box of stuff that you sent me is just better than gold. And I've given, when I give something like your product out, and your product, I mean, works really well. I said, look, you might feel like you just had a shot of alcohol, okay, but just know that this is just your body changing because you're adapting to the environmental input, and this changes the environmental input. Now there's going to be links and stuff to to get in touch with you down below. I encourage people to watch the videos, ask questions, get the data, and make the decisions for yourself. But you have got to protect yourself from the electromagnetic fields, because it's going to affect everybody, whether you're aware of it or not. You're a biologic creature on the planet. And if you're in a chronic stress state, this adds to those stressors and decreases your body's ability to regenerate. I want to get in the next part. Okay.
Well, actually, we have one more really cool thing we want to share with everybody in this part. Okay. And that's about the shape of a pyramid, because we make products that are pyramid shapes, and people use them to grid their property. But there's a lot of really interesting science behind that. So we got just 2 more slides to show about that I think people are really going to like.
Okay, so what we're going to refer to here is the research of Alexander Golod. Now, he is a University of Moscow professor, but he's a Ukrainian former defense contractor and scientist who performed pyramid research and experiments that involved using expensive military helicopters and equipment that can measure ion columns in the atmosphere that were generated from these pyramids he built. So he built a bunch of these like 10-story tall pyramids all throughout the rural areas of Moscow and in the oil fields and other parts of Russia to observe their effects around the environment. Now, what he found is that the shape of the pyramid has a function, that it directs energy out through the tip to affect the environment around it. And when you look at his research, it's one of the main reasons why we make our orgone energy shungite pyramids. They can be used to be placed around your property. And again, they're transforming the local fields to create a grid of protection against the EMFs from the cell phone towers and the chemtrails.
And then this is really cool.
And to back up that research, you may or may not be aware of this. In the past 2 or 3 years, there was an article put out about the Great Pyramid can focus electromagnetic energy, and that was phys.org, and I think it was one of the 2 other science publications. The study reveals that the Great Pyramid of Giza can focus electromagnetic energy. An international research group has applied methods of theoretical physics to investigate the electromagnetic response of the Great Pyramid to radio waves. Scientists predicted that under resonance conditions, the pyramid can concentrate electromagnetic energy in its internal chambers and under the base. The research group plans to use these theoretical results to design nanoparticles capable of reproducing similar effects in optical range, so nano antennas. Such nanoparticles may be used, for example, to develop sensors in highly efficient solar cells. The study was published in the Journal of Applied Physics. So what you're looking at on the left is a diagram of putting different frequencies onto a simulation onto a giant pyramid of Giza to find the response of the pyramid, with all the size, the geometry, and its material properties in different wavelengths. And all of them show that in the VLF range, it's basically able to focus those fields because of the sheer size and materials.
So for in layman's terms, what does that really mean?
So the geometry and the material is able to interact with the environment. And I guess, in this case, it's a giant resonant cavity, and for what it could be used for, who knows? But this thing was built a long time ago, and the people who built it clearly knew what they were doing.
So the geometric shape of a pyramid definitely does something, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a humongous pyramid. So our small pyramids are very, very powerful, and they do this same concept where they can clear the atmosphere around the entire environment of your home. That's why a lot of people use them to grid their home and to grid their gardens. And some people buy large sets of pyramids because they have huge properties, and they place them all throughout the property in order to protect the entire property from the EMFs, but also from things like chemtrails, because what they do is they focus that energy up through the tip of the pyramid. And we have a hole above our house in the clouds most of the time, because we have pyramids all around our house on the roof, that actually helps to dissipate those chemtrails and keep the environment around our home clear.
It changes the ion conditions in the environment, and it depends on the materials you're using to focus those fields.
Oh, brilliant. If anybody's still, if you've done minimal research at the pyramids at Cheops, these guys are energy generators. I mean, they really are. They're not tombs. Okay. And they're still, they're learning about them. Okay. Brilliant. Okay. Yeah. take advantage. You are going to get this. We just did an article about titanium implants and dental implants.
Oh, wow.
Actually, it's like a magnet for electromagnetic fields. It totally disrupts everything. So get the link below. Get on, call these folks and utilize their products. Okay, because if your cells break down faster than they build up, that's called a disease. Anything that'll help cells transfer nutrients, and it's brilliant. Okay.
Well, thank you so much.
Now let's get into the good part. Okay. I mean, it's how these people are alive blows my mind. Okay, now, I think you answered, because I'm going down the list. But heavy metal detox protocol, okay, with the EMF. What have you found? Because we use EDT chelation. What kind of things do you do?
Well, for us, we take a variety of different supplements, but I wanted to give Diane a chance to speak to that. Diane, would you be willing to talk about heavy metal detox and the connection with EMF?
Yeah, absolutely. I've done a couple of different talks with Dr. Bergman on this, and have helped a lot of his patients with the process, because there's a lot of different metals that are attracted to different binders. And so I use 5 different binders in our practice. And there are certain things that we want to make sure that we're diversifying the binders to whichever corresponding metals that are in the body. And so it's not a one fail swoop to go after anything with, just EDTA, although EDTA is really good for mercury and lead. Those are the 2 that it tends to be really good at, because those are very, very dense. And often it can be very aggressive for some people who don't have higher enough levels of minerals, because it can displace the minerals as well. If there's not enough minerals to occupy that receptor site where the metals were pulled from, then the metals can find their way back there. And then I always caution that everybody needs to absolutely be sure that their drainage pathways are open, making sure that you're not constipated, that you're hydrated, that you're moving, a lot of the things that the average person doesn't do today, and getting chiropractic adjustments, making sure that their nerves are all flowing properly and that they're breathing well and getting sleep. And that's why I love to recommend your products for sleep, because I put, my little sleeping pod underneath me, and I have very, very good sleep, very clear dreams, of course, unplugging my Wi-Fi as well. And heavy metal detox can be zeolites. That's another thing that Dr. Bergman and I have talked about. Zeolites is one of my top 2 recommendations for the things that you can do daily, that you can't just go see a doctor to do. So there's active things that you can do. And then there's also carbon technology. So there's humic and fulvic acids that, and all the different recommendations that I have, the patients that I've worked with at Dr. Bergman's, we're using formulas that every single one of them has humic and fulvic acids in them, and that create this carbon bond that is very strong, as almost as strong as EDTA chelation, and is not as toxic to the body, not as damaging. And then while we're also replacing it with minerals, so there's this pulling out of the bad stuff and replacing it with the good stuff. And then also making sure that there are, you're breathing well, you're sweating well, saunas, castor oil packs, coffee enemas, all of the things that some people are like, wait, what? An enema? That's for another day. Dr. Bergman and I led a program earlier this year on that we'll be running again, possibly. So it's a multifactorial approach, but above and beyond all things, reduce your exposure, guys. We can't just take metals out of the body and then think that we're good. Breast implants have lots of heavy metals in them. Silver fillings have lots. Those are the 2 arsonists that are the worst culprits that I find. Like you said, titanium implants. I had one of the worst experiences of my life when my titanium implant was exposed and not covered. I don't know if I had a choice, but I have one. And so it's really reducing our exposure, knowing where these things are coming from, even things like aluminum foil. So, I mean, it's a lot of additional things that I can say on top of that, but making sure that I recommend everybody at this point, because of your presentation on, and because of all of the things that we're exposed to, we now know that there's aluminum in the sky. They've been spraying barium, aluminum, strontium, and cadmium from smoke and cadmium from toxic beauty. We are surrounded by these things. So I tell people on a daily basis, we always need to have some kind of binder on board because when we don't have that, then metals continue to move throughout the body, and then also will bring on more parasites. So this is a whole like fish tank conversation, and it's bigger than this presentation. You guys can go watch the ones that Dr. Bergman and I did on those two topics, heavy metals and parasites, because I do know now that once I started reducing my heavy metal exposure, and I see this in the patients that we work with as well, they're not as impacted or sensitive by EMF exposure. Although I'm not saying, just keep swimming in it, but reduce your exposure to all of it.
That makes all the sense in the world. I mean, it's when you look at this, and Diane, and when we're getting people all the time, oh, I eat 100% organic, I eat super healthy, I'm doing this and this, and I'm saying, look, you're on Earth in 2022.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. You're getting aluminum oxides from the air. You're getting all sorts of toxins and chemicals. Nobody's pure. Okay. So we're getting damaged no matter what.
So we've got these things end up dormant in the body until we provoke them out. So this is not just one person or, I never had silver fillings or I didn't have breast implants. This is our new normal. And this is our way of working around it as long as we're here on this plane.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah. And plus too, I mean, your folks' products are going to work with autistic patients. I mean, we're looking at heavy metal poisoning, brain inflammation, everything. And this is easy. They don't have to put it on. You slide it underneath their bed and they're going to have some benefit from it. Okay. So
we do have a testimony. We do have a testimony from one Spanish couple who's had a son who had ADHD, and he couldn't calm down ever. And the moment he held our pendant in his hand, he said, I can't believe how calm I feel. And his behavior completely changed because it was the EMF that was aggravating his situation, his toxicity.
Yeah. So many people are like right on the edge. And if you're looking at ADD, ADHD, impulse control, anxiety, stress, those are all features of the frontal lobe. And so, the fact that you're able to de-stress out that even a little bit, you're going to notice a huge difference. I mean, thank God for you guys. And I'm so glad you had the problem. Otherwise, you never would have looked into the product to develop the product. This is like Hope and Tivon. This is. Thank you, God. I'm so glad you guys were injured. So now, it
was good that I was afflicted.
Instead of just being the victim and saying, "Oh, poor me," it's like, no, there's got to be a solution. So you guys are going to save millions. Okay, so now I know we have a 10% off show special. I'm gonna order some more of that stuff. Okay, I'm gonna order some pyramids or something. Okay. How can they follow you? How can they learn more about your products? I mean, I'm literally taking cell phone pictures of your slides so that I can do more research. I'm going to satisfy that this weekend.
Okay. Oh, that's great. That's great. And I think we did send you a copy of the slideshow, and we have copies of all of our slideshows on our website, in our blog, in our research. So anybody can go take those slides and download them. And we always encourage people to do the research for themselves.
Also in our blog section, we also have a 4-part scientific study presentation that we've done also.
Yeah, we go through the science in more in depth.
Yeah, I think you'll find that one very fascinating.
So just real quick, these are what our products are. We have sleeping pods for a good night's sleep. We have charge plates for use around the home. You can also use them to preserve your food. They keep my produce fresh for much, much longer. They have different phone shields. You can use these on your phone, any size cell phone. Stick them on your router, stick them on your laptop, stick them on the back of your TV, wherever you have a Wi-Fi signal. These are our pendants. Then we have our pyramids, but we also have garden pucks, and we sell them together, pyramids and garden pucks for your garden, for gridding your property. And we're making tiles. These are like standard size bathroom tiles out of our orgonite products that you could use in your construction projects for your home. And we're actually getting ready to put in a pool, and we're going to be putting these tiles all around the pool so that we can have like this body of water with EMF protection around the pool. So there's also a lot of different testimonies on our site as well from our different customers around the world. They're handmade by us in Morocco. We've shipped worldwide to this year 10,000 customers. Very exciting for us since 2017. And like we said, there's all the scientific studies and documentation described on our website, which is ftwproject.com. But there is a special link that we want you to go to, which is below this video that we gave to Dr. Bergman. That is his affiliate link on here. So please use that link. And if you go to the link below this video, there is a special sample set that we've got. We have 2 sample sets. The first sample set has just some pendants and some of the phone shields, right? And so you'll see that. And now that is at a discounted price of 10% off the already discounted price of our special offer. And that only lasts for a limited amount of time. I believe it'll be just for 2 weeks after this episode airs. So there'll be an expiration date on that. And then there is the deluxe sample set, the Dr. Bergman deluxe sample set, which has the mini set of the phone shields, the pendants, and then it has 1 pyramid, 1 garden puck, 1 of the sleeping pods, and 1 of the shungite charge plates. So
it's like a salad bar.
Yeah, so you could sample our products for yourself. And again, our website is ftwproject.com, but please, please, please use that link.
Bookmark the link.
That's in that description.
Yes. Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And Diane's information is going to be down below too. This has got to be a couple of part series because people, if they're unaware of EMFs, I mean, you cannot get optimal health unless you address the environment that you're living.
Yes.
And you could say, duh. I mean, it's like you have to. Okay. And if you build cells faster than they break down, you got health. So I cannot thank you all for being here. This is fantastic. This information is really going to save lives. And I'm looking forward to part 2. But thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Doctor, thank you for having us on. It's an honor. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Man, you guys rock. I appreciate it. See you,
So
Diana.
do you.
Diane.
Thanks,
See you
Dr.
later.
B. See you next time for part 2.
Bye.